All right, you dirty dog. So I just did a news story on this. I'm going to redo it, and I'm going to try to be a little more detailed on what I do and why I do it to help people understand what's going on. So what I have figured out is that this world works in patterns, and it works in primes. Okay? That's our matrix. And our English language was developed using Gematria. The letters of the alphabet, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, all the way up to 26 letters. Now, as you can see right here, A is 1, B is 2, all the way up. And then they also have it reverse, because if you're religious, you know that Satan does everything in reverse. So you got Freemasons, and then you have all different kinds of languages, okay? So this is English ordinal, how it's added, and then reduced. And that's where they call it full reduction. And then they do the same exact thing where it's reversed. So they would start with Z being 1, Y being 2, X being 3, and backwards. And that's what the reverse reduction is. Since Satan turns everything upside down and backwards. All right? So these are the base ciphers. I throw in Chaldean because Chaldean, right now I'm dealing with Iraq, but also Chaldean is one of the oldest languages that's known. All right? So that's huge. Now, when they develop our English language, it comes from this. When they develop any language, it comes from this. There's a letter assigned to every single frequency, just like in music. And numbers are frequencies, just like when we dial into your radio, it's a number. All right, so when I hit all ciphers, you can see all the different numbers: Jewish ordinal, Jewish reverse. You got primes, you got Chaldean. Every every language will have this, okay? But these are the main ones that we go by, or I go by. I like to go by base ciphers, and then I like to go by Chaldean. Now, what I've noticed, just from experience, and I'm not perfect, but what I've learned is there's patterns to everything in our matrix. So what I will do is I'll look up the time span between dates, and what I'm doing right now is that time span, I'm trying to back it up with Gematria and see if they're telling us a story with the news and with the date, the time span, and see if they connect. So for example, this news story right here, exchange rate stabilized in Baghdad, or if they had something in parentheses, all right, it was specifically put in those parentheses for a reason. It's specifically a headline for a reason, because every one of those letters equals a number that adds up to another number, all right? So when I add up all those numbers in, exchange rate, and I get, right here, I get exchange rate stabilized in Baghdad. What really stands out to me is this 101. Now, I like that 173. If you watched all my other videos, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But I'm not even going to get onto that right now. I'm going to keep it simple. 101. I know from experience that's the 26th prime. Okay, that's Chaldean, and we're doing Iraqi news. So it's even stronger of a connection. Now, why is the 26th prime important? One, the fact that it's a prime is big, because prime numbers are how our matrix works based off of my experience. All right. When I click that number, you see that it's the 26 prime. The property's 26 prime. Okay. And if I'm looking for the news telling me a story, I don't want to just see 26. That tells me nothing. Okay. But the time span from today of what I figured out with other news of 917, because I've coded so many 179s and 917s, and I've looked at time spans from significant things that have happened in Iraq to this date, including 9/11, including the Georgia Guidestones going down, including George Bush's birthday, Trump's birthday, anything to do with Iraq. I have looked at the time span between these days and then backed it up with a story that came out with Gematria. And that's what I'm doing. So if you notice, from today's date when this news came out to 9/17, it's 26 days. And that news headline was 101 in Chaldean, which is the 26th prime. Which, even if it said 26, I like 101 better just because it was a prime number. It's stronger. It's how our matrix works, and it tells the story even better. So, like tomorrow, if I get more news, tomorrow I'm going to be looking for the number 25. All right? And I'm telling you this ahead of time, and more than likely I'm going to find a story that's going to give me a 25 or a 179 telling me the exact date. And that's what I've been doing every single day. So just so you know, tomorrow I'm letting you know in advance, so it's not like something that's just going to be sneaking up on me. 25 is 97 is the 25th prime. So I'm going to be looking for 97 tomorrow. 25 and 97. Watch them, I don't just look for Iraq. I look for news in sports. So they had a story that came out the other day that LeBron James got a $97.1 million contract. And that is telling you my exact date of 179. It's written 179 in Iraq or 917 in America. And 179 is the 41st prime. I like 179 better because it's a prime number. 197 is also a prime number. It's the 45th prime, which is good. But that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the time spans between dates, and then I'm lining it up with the date, with the gematria of the news story or whatever comes out that day. So I do this with sports as well, and I see very similar connections in that all the time. And sometimes I know so much about the outcome of an event that I'm willing to risk money on it. Okay? So here's an example of a UFC fight that I knew Edwards was going to win. I didn't know how he was going to win, but I knew he was going to win. And if you look right here, you'll see the odds were plus 1180. Okay? This is in the 5th round. He had lost all 4 rounds of the UFC fight this last Saturday. And his odds were at plus 1180. I still knew he had a chance to win based off of gematria from doing what I've already been telling you I'm doing with Iraqi dinar. Okay, I looked up time spans between dates and fights of when he won and lost. I looked up his date numerology of when he was born to when this fight happened. I did the same thing for the opposing fighter, and I saw patterns, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. Now, who the heck bets $50 in round 5 and in round 3? I think I did right here. When he's losing all 5 rounds, he did not win 1 round. His odds are terrible. It was minus probably 3,000 if you put it on the other fighter to win the fight at this time. And I make $640, as you can see here. So a little closer, you can see where I bet $50. You can see the time I bet it at 12:25. Whoops, 12:42 and then 12:51. So you can see where I did it in the 3rd round, and I did it like 9 minutes later in like the 5th round. All right. So I'm not going to go into all the gematria that I did with this. It'd be a whole nother video, but that is pretty telling that you're willing to bet $50 in the 5th round after the guy's getting killed. I think the other fighter, here, I'll show you. So as you can see here, the fighter that I had put that bet on, he didn't even have a third of the hits as the other guy. The other guy has 189 hits. This guy only has 64. He knocks him out with 4 minutes and 4 seconds left in the 5th round. He had lost all 4 rounds before that. And then wins with a head kick. Was basically doing nothing. Now, I'm not always right, but when I'm right, I mean, I really get paid for it. So here's another example. Okay, I know nothing about baseball. I don't know anybody. I don't know the ERA of anybody. I know nothing. Okay, but you can see here where I put a bet in for $10. Whoops. See where I put a bet in for $10 here. Okay, and the Cincinnati Reds won, the Cardinals won, and they weren't favored. They're plus 215. They're basically, that's terrible. I mean, it's good odds for me, but it's terrible odds of winning. New York Mets won. I had Amanda Nunes winning by decision plus points, which is plus 420. Good odds for me, but not likely. Okay? She had just lost to the opponent. Now, I did this all based off Gematria. Every single one of them was based off Gematria that I connected with time spans between dates, and I connected the patterns. Now, at the same time, I don't know if this is going to happen, but this is who I got for the Super Bowl. If that goes down, that $10 bet is going to turn into $100,000. All right? Right now, I could cash out for $562. No, I'm not going to cash out. And whenever you see the Denver Broncos and the Dallas Cowboys get closer to the playoffs, that cash out's going to be even more. But I'm showing you that our world is a matrix, and I'm connecting it. Everything is connected. Every news story you see, every bit of information you see, including stuff in your personal life. Somebody that calls you or texts you at what time they text you and they call you, you can connect those patterns. You can look at time frames between time spans and predict what's going to happen next. All right? That's how Nostradamus did it too. It's always about basically observing nature and then predicting future. And that's what I'm doing with Gematria and time spans. I also can look at news stories, and sometimes when stuff happens, I know that something else very similar is going to happen. Like one year, something crazy. All right, I saw I think there was an NFL game where some guy hurled over another guy, and then there was another game where a guy hurled over another guy. And I know that a lot of time things happen in threes. So I actually predicted there was one football game, and it was a college football game, and I said, somebody is going to hurl over a player and get a touchdown in this game. And they did. And I posted it on Facebook beforehand. Now, what are the odds of that? If I put $1 on that, I probably would have made $10,000. Right? So it's not like, so anybody that's got negative comments or just negative energy that doesn't understand it, the odds of predicting this stuff, you would not put up that $10,000 for that $1, would you? So I see people go, I got $5,000 that this doesn't happen. Whoop-de-doo. Do you have the $5,000? I'll put up my 5 cents for that $5,000. Because the odds of stuff like this hitting is astronomical. You're predicting the future before it happens. And I'm just doing it with patterns. I'm showing you the patterns. And you just got to figure out and decipher the patterns for yourself. And that's what I'm doing. Not always right. But I see something that's just over the top crazy about this 9/17 date. I've called it the next 9/11. I've also said that it looks like a high watch day for the dinar to revalue. Whatever the case, it looks like everything in our reality is lining up this day. And it's not just, I've been showing, recently I've been showing Iraqi news, but I've lined it up with sports. I've lined it up with key political figures. I've lined it up with the Georgia Guidestones. I've lined it up with the Super Bowl 57 or 56. All my videos are showing those connections. And it's undeniable the connection that I'm showing and the patterns that I'm showing. So I guess we're just going to have to find out and see what happens. But hopefully this video helps you a little bit. I didn't watch any of these games either, just so you know. None of them. Not one. I have no clue who the Mets pitcher is. I have no clue. Actually, I do know who the Mets pitcher is because I think they're going to be in the World Series. And it's going to be the Astros versus the Mets. I just know that they have a guy named Scherzer on their team. And he's a pitcher. And he came from Detroit. And I live in Detroit. That's the only reason why I know that. Amanda Nunes. I think the last time I saw her fight was when she beat Ronda Rousey. Cardinals. I have zero clue. Not one person on that team. Reds. Not one person do I know on that team. Why would I be willing to risk $10 for teams and I have no clue anybody on their team, knew nothing about it? Broncos. The only person I know on that team is Russell Wilson. Cowboys. I know Ezekiel Elliott and I know Dak Prescott. I'm not even sure the name of some of their receivers off the top of my head. And it's kind of crazy. Just watch the news, and you're going to see a lot of stuff about Cowboy Super Bowl, and then people laughing about it because they're gonna end up winning this thing. because I've done seen too many connections. All right. That's all you get, you dirty dogs. Hopefully I helped you out. Hopefully I opened your mind a little bit. But you got to understand that our English language and all languages all come from numbers. Ah, that's a frequency. Ba, se, de, e, fa, da, love. They put those together and it creates another frequency. All can be quantified into numbers. Run and tell that homeboy, you dirty dog.